Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show for beginners how to start a printed cross stitch. These are called printed or stamped because the design is on the canvas and you just follow a color key. The design I'm doing today is this Snow Queen right here. It's a really long piece. I'm starting at the top. So if you've not ever had one of these kits, they come with everything you need. The canvas that you see here, that is pre-printed. It comes with written instructions in a written pattern, in case you need that. It comes with the needle. This one came with 5 needles. And it comes with all the thread you need, which is put onto a color card like this. So I'm just going to get right into it here. I'm going to start at the top, number 2, which on the color key, number 2 is black, which I already took off the piece of black. All right. And also it corresponds over here. You can see the turquoise color says number 2. So number 2 is what you're going to look at on your color card. Now some of the symbols are very small and they might not have a number. So you would refer to this side here. For instance, there's a little green cross right there. You would look over here and see that's number 3. Okay, so this is a 14 count. That's just the size of the fabric grid of the squares. So 14 count uses 2 strands of thread. Your instructions will probably tell you that if you have a 14 count or an 11 count. 11 count is just a bigger piece of fabric with bigger squares. It's easier to see and your design's going to be bigger. So if you have an 11 count, you're going to use 3 strands of thread. 14 count, 2 strands of thread. So the thread comes in a pretty long piece. It's probably about 18 inches. Now there are 6 strands in this, so you have to separate it. So I'm going to go ahead and separate 2 pieces out of this. And they usually give you enough thread. One of the common mistakes people make with these is they just thread this whole thing and they start using it like this with 6 strands, and then they write to the company and they say, I ran out of thread. It's because they didn't separate it. Okay, this gets a little tricky to separate. Just pull it gently. It's going to try to curl up on you, which it is for me. Just keep going. All right, I'm still separating here. It's pretty cloudy today. I got extra lighting, and I'm trying to do close-ups of this so you can see. Okay, so there is my 2 strands. Okay, so after your needle is threaded, you want to leave a little bit of a tail there. You don't make a knot or anything, just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to show the loop method start. So what you do is you go down the bottom left, you leave a little bit of a tail right there, and then you're going to come up in the upper right, and you might want to go around and feel your thread. Put your finger on the back of it. You'll start to feel if it's going to knot up. Just go slowly, or use a shorter strand. You can cut it. Okay, so you'll feel that there. Okay, Now you're going to go back down in the same hole, the very same top right. This is going to anchor your thread, your first stitch. Alright, so you're going to leave a loop, just like that. So you've come up the bottom left, you've gone down the bottom left, you've come up in the upper right, and then back down in the upper right to get your loop. Now you're going to come up again in the bottom left where that tail is sitting. Again, kind of holding the thread in the back or letting it flow through your fingers in the back there while it's kind of long. Alright, and now you're going to put your needle through this loop. And this is going to create your first stitch, and it's also going to anchor your thread without having to do a knot or turning your work over. So you can see how that is. See that? Go back down. That basically has wrapped your thread around that square of fabric. So you go down again, and you've made your first stitch of your first cross. And then you come up on the top left, go down in the bottom right, and you've made your first cross stitch and also anchored your thread onto the fabric. And then I like to keep my stitches the same way. I usually start in the top right after I've done my initial stitch, and then I go down in the bottom left, up in the bottom right, down in the top left, and then again and then that tail right there can be cut off because your thread is anchored now. Now you can find these kits online if you just Google stamped or printed cross stitch. I don't ever see them in the craft stores. Amazon has them. There's a ton of different companies online. Most of them are overseas. So you can make just individual X's. I'm going to go ahead and cut that tail. Okay. So you can just make individual X's, or you can complete it one leg at a time. They call it a leg. For instance, when you've got a lot of the same color, you can just do a half a stitch. Oops, and I got a knot. Don't panic if you get a knot. Usually it's just a twist in the thread. Just don't pull on it really hard. That will make it worse. What you have to do is just kind of untwist it. Pick it apart. There, see that? It was just twisted. Okay. So there's a half stitch and a half stitch. And I'm kind of guiding the thread to the back while it's long. Once it gets shorter, you really don't have to do that. See, it knotted up again on me. Black is notorious for that. Black thread, I don't know why. Just loosen it up. Okay. Normally I don't have this many knots, but of course when I'm making a video, so these are just half stitches. And you can go all the way down to the end like that, and then work your way back and finish crossing them. I'm just going to finish them right now. So these are pretty time consuming. They do take a while to finish, especially if you don't work on them every day. So I would suggest, if you're a beginner, get something small. Get a design that is interesting to you, because if it's not a design that you're not that interested in, you're just going to get bored with it, I think. I've started many of them like that, and I just got tired of it. So I'm just completing these stitches. I'm pretty sure I'll complete this one. It'll probably take me all winter. And I like this design because I've done a diamond painting of this. And I got another knot. Let's bring it forward. Yeah, I should have started with a shorter thread for this. Okay. And then with the printing on this, you don't want to get this wet. This is water-soluble ink on this. When you are finished with the whole design, you actually wash this, you hand wash it, and all of the ink comes out, and you would not even know that the design, that the pattern was printed on here. Okay, so I've completed a little bit right there. I'm going to flip this over and show you how I end a color, and then I'll start another color. Okay, so this is the back of the work here. So to end your stitch, again, you don't make any knots. You take the needle and you just run it under your stitches, at least 3 or 4 of them. And this needle's a little too big for this, but it's working. Alright. Then you just pull it. So that's anchored in there, and then you cut. So that's not going anywhere. So that's how you end your stitch. You don't ever make knots. I think I've said that about 100 times. I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm going to start another color. I'm going to start on this red right here, which is 19. Now again, if this was a smaller symbol without a number on the canvas, you would refer to the color key. So this is how the thread comes. I'm going to take a piece of 19 off of here. I just sort of undo it carefully. Some people take all their colors off of these and put them on bobbins or something. I never do that. So I'm just going to grab one and hold on to the rest of it and pull some out. And then reattach it. Alright, and again, I only need 2 strands of this. This is a dark blue. Go ahead and pull off 2 strands. And you know what, I'm actually going to cut this 18-inch piece just to make it a little shorter and easier to work with. Alright, it's easier to separate, easier to work with, especially if you're a beginner. Once you get used to this, you can use the full strand, the full length. Okay, separate that out. That was easier. Thread the needle. I'm having a little issue. Thread the needle, leave a tail. Okay, so I'm going to start on the red. Now when you're doing colors like this, now this would be all black, this is the border. So I'm on 19. Now you don't want to start like over here and then take your thread and jump all the way over here. You know, try to keep them close together so you don't have long threads overlapping in the back. I'm just going to start right here. So go down, let me get a little closer. Again with the loop start, go down, leave a tail, come up in the top right. Oops, almost lost it. Okay, go back down in the top right. There's your loop. Come back up where your tail is. Almost lost my loop. Alright, see the loop right there? Go through it. And there it is, anchored in. Go back down. And there's the first leg of your stitch. Finish the cross of it. And then you can cut that tail. and then you just continue on. And the good thing is, if you stop and put it up for a while, you come back to it and you know exactly where you stopped. You don't have to, like with counted cross stitch, recount, figure out where you were, all of that jazz. So it's pretty easy. You can use a hoop if you want to. The fabric is pretty stiff. I have it in a frame just for, I can have both hands free for the video. But when I normally work on this, I would probably just hold it in my hand and do it. And that's really all there is to it. Like I said, they take quite a while to finish. You have to have some patience. And it's just a really easy way to start doing cross stitch. So I hope this made sense to you, and if you have any questions, let me know. I was going to put links for where I can't remember where I got this. It's easier just to Google printed or stamped cross stitch and take it from there. I did an unboxing on this kit. I'll link that video with a timestamp below if you really want to see what it looks like and what comes with it when you buy it. So that's all for today. I'm gonna probably work on this, take it out of the stand and work on it, and maybe do some updates occasionally about this kit or another one that I might be working on. So that's how you start as a beginner. Thank you for watching.